What's up, guys, and welcome back. Where we left off, we had just talked about research and the armies and the changes that have come in the DLC and update. Now we're going to go into factories. So we have 31 civilian factories to use right now. We'll lose a couple when we get to training, but mostly we'll stick right around 30 factories to start with. So what I do, and I don't have a master plan to where things go. Dockyards, I'm going to max out dockyards so I can build ships fast enough. I'll end up capturing coastline and getting more dockyards, but I'm going to max out Germany's for sure. We're going to build some refineries, probably end up with about 20 refineries, and then with the research we talked about, the refinery research will make those 20 refineries end up producing 100 oil or so, 120, which will be plenty. We just need to get there. So civilian factories, what I end up doing, and it's just random, I'll build like 5 civilian, and then I'll build some dockyards, and then I'll build like 3 more civilian, and then I'll build some military factories. And I try to stay away from provinces that are already done. So the coastline, I won't build factories there because I want dockyards and they take up a factory slot. So I'll build coastline. Right, I'll go like that, and then I'll build a few more civilian. And I'll just let those go. And I kind of switch back and forth, building civilian and then other. Wait, I forgot to build some refineries. Put them down here. By the time these civilian are built, then the refineries will be built. And we won't have anything running in serial on the province because you can only be building 1 factory at a time per province. So you get serial lines, these +2, it will build 1, and if they were in a row, it'd be like that. So do build 1 and then it would start and it would build a second one in serial, where we're building 5 in parallel. And so that's what I kind of focus on. I try to build in parallel when I can, because if everything was built in serial, then it would just keep building in that province and it wouldn't jump around. And I like to spread things out all over as much as I can. Yep. So I'm gonna build up to about 100, and it's gonna count Austria, Czechoslovakia. We're gonna annex them, which is gonna give me factories. And then when we take Poland and France, we'll have upwards of 100, 120 civilian factories. And then I'll stop. And that'll be mostly just to repair things as we fight. England's going to be bombing me. We're going to need to repair factories there. We're gonna go toe-to-toe with USSR or Soviet Union. And they're going to bomb me, and we're going to need to be repaired. And so your civilian factories, no matter where they're built, are going to be used to build new factories as well as repair old ones. So I like to have 100 or more, just to make sure later in the war that all my factories are being repaired as much as possible, as well as the infrastructure. So we can build infrastructure, but we sit fairly good. And then there's some national focuses we'll get to here in a minute that increase the infrastructure for me, so I don't have to. So I don't build infrastructure until I start prepping to fight the Soviet Union, and I'll create a couple lines of maxed out infrastructure to the Russian border, and then as I go through Russia, I might add infrastructure because their infrastructure is not very high, and I need to get supplies to the front lines. There's infrastructure, there's air bases. I started out with enough air bases, close enough that I don't need to build any new ones, and all the ones I have are plenty for what I need to do. 1,200 planes there. I don't even think I have 1,200 planes at this point. I have a grand total of about, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 planes. So if I wanted to, I could put all of my planes in this one province and not max it out. And yeah, we're going to build some airplanes. That number is going to go up. We're going to sit about 1,600 if you include our naval planes. I just don't focus a whole lot on airplanes. I get focused. I'll attach my air wings to my armies. I'll show you about that. That's new in the update. But with that, I get localized battlefield air superiority, and that's all I'm looking for. It's just, I believe it's the most efficient use for Germany without building a giant air force, so you can fight United Kingdom and Soviet Union at once. Like, they're gonna have two giant air forces, and there's no way to fight them both at once and have an army as well. So I'm gonna focus on the army rather than the air force. I don't build anti-air. I just think it's a waste of factory construction. And I don't build radar stations. Like I said in the last video, if you're United Kingdom, it's worth it. If you're going to sit and fight a defensive war with Russia, it might be worth it, but I plan to be on the attack. And if you're on the attack, you're going to have to keep building the radar stations more and more and more forward. It's just not worth it. So I'm not going to build those. I won't build rocket sites. I'm not launching rockets into Britain. I'm not launching rockets into Soviet Union. Kind of counts as strategic bombing, and I just don't do it. Nor will I build nuclear reactors because I won't research them. Naval bases, I start out. So this one is a Naval Base 8. Also Naval Base 8. And that's Naval Base 5. It's plenty. The higher the naval base, the better the supply that can go through it. So this one has supply throughput limit of 24, and this one has the same because it's the same level. So really, it hasn't ever before, unless something in the update has changed the way that supply gets shipped to an island or to a area away from Germany. I've never had an issue before with what Germany starts with for naval. I don't have to build up any. I might, if the game comes all the way where I'm coming over into Canada, I might build up the naval bases here to increase the supply. But I don't think I'll need it. And we'll capture Danzig, and we'll capture French bases. There's plenty of supplies coming through. This is more of an issue if you're like Poland and you've got one port. You need to build it up to level 10 so that you can get supply in and out. Land forts, coastal forts. I don't plan to fight defensively. I'm not even going to build the Atlantic Wall that historical Germany did, because I hope to take the United Kingdom. And you take France, you take United Kingdom, the only one you have to worry about is Soviet Union and America coming in from behind. And it's not worth all of the resource that has to go into building that up. You can convert civilian to military and vice versa. Again, I don't do it very often. Depending on, after I take Poland and France, I will see how many factories I have. If I have more than 120 civilian factories, I will convert whatever number to get that to 120. So we'll see. But that is construction. Military factories. They've changed in the update, the free update, the way that the production lines work. And not necessarily how they work, but how they're managed. So before, the max you could have on one production line would be 15 factories, 1 or 3 lines of 5. Well, now you can do up to, you can have 10 factories per slot and 15 slots, giving you 150 total military factories towards a single production line. To get that, with it before the update, to get that, you would have to have 10 production lines with 15 factories, and all you would see scrolling down is just one type. If you had that many factories, just infantry equipment, down, down, down. If you had 150 infantry equipment factories, I've never used that many factories, so it's overkill. I might go on ×5 and have like 25, 30 factories. But it's nice that it's all in a single production line now. That you don't have to have infantry equipment, just to be building enough. The production cap works the same way. Everything works the same way. It's just condensed. So that's kind of nice. We're going to add a couple more infantry equipment factories. The goal is to keep around 100,000 extra equipment beyond what we need for training and reinforcements. So we'll kind of let this fluctuate a little bit. Support equipment, we never seem to have enough. Towed artillery, I'm going to add a factory too, and it'll probably stay at 2 or 3. Tanks, we never have enough. Make sure I get 3. There we go. 3 light tank, 3 motorized. I never have enough motorized. And then it's just trying to get enough tanks. Once I get enough tanks, I can usually keep it at a decent level. But getting up there, especially in the beginning, takes a little bit. Planes, when we get enough factories, we'll build them up. Bombers, I leave bombers at just a single factory. They're just going to support my armies. They're not doing anything else. Naval, we're going to come down a couple submarines, and I'm just going to max these out because I want them to get done. And then what we'll end up having is we'll build a couple light cruisers, we'll build a couple heavy cruisers, we'll build a couple more battleships, but mostly we're going to focus on destroyers and carriers. So we'll always have a carrier building with maxed out naval dockyards, and we'll have a destroyer maxed out, and then we'll have, I'm going to add it in now, we'll have some convoys, and then enough to keep building other just a few other ships. So we're going to let all this just build. It's just going to go, it'll build all 6 submarines and then those will move down into the next type and the next until we get this cleared out, and gives us some time to research. And I'm also going to choose where these go. So I want to build submarines here. Deploy. When they're built, I want them to deploy in the forward naval base. Everything else is a surface warship, so it's going to be built here in this one. Oops. Back to production. And that's just talking about. Alright. And this way, without this, they would just kind of pop into a port wherever they wanted. The AI has. I never understood it. Just pop in wherever it wants to place them. Some kind of balanced manner. I don't get it. I concentrate all my forces as much as I can. You also see we don't have enough oil for these lines. Ships I keep at my lowest priority. I'll have carriers up here, and I'll try to make sure I have at least enough oil to build carriers when I get to that point. Everything else is just kind of a if I have it, great. If not, well, I'll live. Talk about trade next. So Germany is hurting. Everybody who's not in Southeast Asia is hurting for rubber. All of the rubber is concentrated right here. And if you're British, or if you're Netherlands, or if you're France, then you're not hurting for rubber. Everybody else is trading with them to get rubber. What that means is everybody else is trading with these nations and giving them factories in turn for resources. You have to give up, for every 8 you're trading of a resource, you're giving up 1 civilian factory. If you look at rubber, the Dutch East Indies or the Netherlands. The Dutch East Indies of the Netherlands are producing the most rubber, followed by British Malaya right here, this state. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but I mean that's how. This is where all the rubber of the world is grown. So you just gotta live with it. Yeah, Singapore produces so much. Anyway, you can see it produces 445, but they're only exporting 249. That's because they have. I think they have export focus, but they're not exporting everything. So they'll keep some, and it'll probably be more than they can use, but it is what it is. So when choosing a nation to trade with, so I need oil. I need 18 oil, which means I need to send either 2 factories and have not enough for everything, or 3 factories and not have that 1 extra. So I have to choose whether I want enough oil to build everything or enough factories to build new stuff. And what I'm going to do, because I don't really care right now what these ships do, I can give up a couple oil. So I am only going to trade for 2 at the moment. And I also try to think about who am I potentially going to be at war against. So you got United States, neutral for now, eventually going to be an ally. against us, the Axis. So we don't really want to trade with them because that gives them one more civilian factory to build new factories with. Soviet Union, I'm probably going to declare war on us or us on them. So if we give them a factory or 2 factories, that's 2 more factories they can build things against us. Our best bet here is a country like Venezuela. They are going to be neutral throughout the whole war, unless somebody goes crazy. And with historical focuses, nobody should go crazy. So, unless we do something to influence Venezuela, they will stay neutral. Which means, give them all the factories they want, their armies aren't going to fight mine. So that's oil, and then we need rubber. We need 1 rubber. We're going to be at war with the Dutch East Indies. We're going to be at war with the British and the United Kingdom and France. So we're going to come down and we're going to trade with Siam. Because Japan is going to end up taking out Siam. We're not really worried about them. And even if they didn't, their forces are going to be against Japan and not really against us. So I'm not worried about them. But the next, we could have done Brazil. Brazil will be neutral. But it's already done. It's set. We've made our choice. So that is trade, and what I kind of think about when I'm picking a trade partner. Sometimes you don't get a choice. You'll see oil. We may end up having to trade with the Soviet Union because we're going to be at war with the United Kingdom and share a border here with the Soviet Union. And if you share a border, you don't have to use convoys. You just trade over the border. So we'll probably end up having to trade Soviet Union for oil until we go to war with them. And it's all, for me, it's all this big balancing act with Germany and trying to get enough oil to build all the things you try to build. The nearest oil, we'll go back to research mode, is right here in Romania. There's 70 oil sitting there. There's a little bit here in this line in the United Kingdom, or the Soviet Union, but really we either need to ally with Romania and share a border, or we need to puppet them and make them a what's the word? Yeah, we'll go find it. Let's see, let's look at the Philippines, because the Philippines are a puppet. Yeah. So we'll turn Romania into a puppet, and then that oil will be ours. But yeah, Europe is not very high in oil production. You got to get deep into the Soviet Union before you start seeing some oil production here. Yeah, there's some in the Middle East, which are weaker countries, but it's not. I mean, Iraq has 23. We're going to need more than 70 probably at the end. We're going to need a lot. Surface ships are expensive in oil, and so are tanks, and so are vehicles. And so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, getting them on our side before we go to war with the Soviet Union is a priority. Alright, let's talk about national focuses. So they have changed in the update and in the DLC. The Germany's focus tree. And I think that's where they removed the 5th research slot that Germany used to have, and now they've put it in line with this tree right here. So the 4-year plan is a reconstruction plan that Germany went through in the mid to late 30s. Basically, the plan was put in place. It was called the 4-year plan because it was supposed to get them back where they were before World War I in 4 years. Really, Hitler had a secondary part to it because he needed to build a military and he needed the factories to do it, and his advisors told him it would take 4 years to get it up and running. So it's a 4-year plan because Hitler wanted to invade Europe, and he figured he'd do it around 1940. So this is going to give us research bonuses in industry, as well as some extra advisors, infrastructure construction speed, civilian factory construction speed, refinery construction. So altogether, this 4-year plan is going to make us build factories faster, which is what we want. And then if we go down this line, you have your defensive structures. So your west wall was built along the border of France, and it added 12 land forts on the French border, as well as some fortification construction speed. Germany implemented this for the very reason I'm going to have infantry on the French border, just as to hold them in place. France is going to hide behind the Maginot Line, which is their forts on their side of the border. Germany hid behind the west wall until their right hook went through Belgium. You got the Atlantic Wall, which basically adds coastal forts all along the Atlantic. This was to keep Britain and America out. And then the Ostwall was for Russia. It basically built a wall along the Russian border. So France, the Atlantic after France falls, and Russia. I'm not going to do any of these. I just don't do forts. I don't do defensive. This line adds some infrastructure, construction speed, as well as kind of aligns smaller European countries, Hungary and Romania, and allows you to integrate their economy within yours, which basically, if you go down this line, then Hungary and Romania will get decisions on whether to become your subjects or not. And if they do, then it's going to add some military factories and other things in these countries that are your puppets. It's an interesting way to go. I don't know if I'm going to focus on it. I'll get the infrastructure just because I'm going to end up building infrastructure in Russia, but not for a while. And so this one integrates, so it gives factories to your puppets, so they're a little bit stronger, and gives you 4 factories, where this one gives you 6 factories, but it's just Germany. This one gives more factories to your allies. Actually, this one gives you 8 if they join. If they refuse, then you don't get the factories. This one gives you 6 for sure, and it's just you. And then you can do trying to align Norwegian and Belgian and Ukraine. It allows you to create subject state out of the parts that you will take from all around Europe, including the Soviet Union, and form them into like subjects. This is interesting. I don't know if we're going to go down that line or not, so we'll see. This is the line I want. This is what we're going to focus on to begin with while we're building up our army. So it starts off with research bonus for all of the excavations, all of them. We'll still have to wait on time. Researching anything ahead of time has a big penalty on it, so this will cut that down because it'll do, well, I guess all of them, but 2 times research bonus. So any 2 of those 5 will get a research bonus, and it'll probably end up being the first 2. But then it also increases military factory, dockyards, and civilian factory construction speed. So not only does this one do civilian factory, this one does as well. So that's nice. And then we'll come down here, which will give us 6 factories. And then we'll come down again and get 6 more factories. And then we'll come down here to get a synthetic refinery, as well as a 75% research bonus on a synthetic resource. And we're going to choose oil. And then rubber. So without even doing any research, following this line, rubber processing, right? We're going to get the bonus here. We're going to apply it to oil processing. Researching this alone adds +2 rubber per factory. So we're going to do 4-year plan. We're going to do Autarky, Hermann Göring work, KDF wagon, and then the extra research slot to get that as soon as possible. It only requires 1 of the following, so we'll have completed that. We'll see how big the army is at that point. We need the other line we're going to go down is remilitarizing the Rhineland, which is going to give us political power as well as army experience. It's going to increase world tension, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it unlocks Anschluss, which lets us annex Austria, which is the first step in really getting us ready for war. But we need 550,000 manpower in divisions on the field, so training doesn't count. We're sitting at 269, so we need to double what we currently have in the field to get this. So we have some time. We probably have a good 1.5 years before we're ready to do that. And then we're going to demand the Sudetenland, which is going to need 750, so we'll have some time. By then our factories will be up and running, and we'll kick out armies a lot faster. So that'll just be a couple months down the road, and then we'll get the first Vienna Award, which kind of brings Hungary over to our side. And then the fate of Czechoslovakia, kick that off. We are going to not annex the entire thing. We're going to leave the country of Slovakia as a puppet state. It just doesn't have enough benefit to have to take over that extra bit. We'll just leave them as a puppet state. But again, this whole line requires a military that we don't currently have. While we're waiting for the army to build up, so we're going to go down this line as fast as possible, get the research slot, then we're going to do the Rhineland. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 with a little bit. So we'll say this is a whole year. 4-year plan, that one, this one, down to the research spot, 1 whole year. And then we'll worry about remilitarizing the Rhineland And we'll see what kind of army we have to do that one after that. Air and army innovations are what I was talking about in my last video about research. So they increased the land, air, and naval doctrines. The time to research. So 300 days. And there's no time penalty. You can do it whenever you want. I could start researching it now, or I could wait. I could do Army Innovations and get 50% research bonuses, as well as a new choice for Chief of the Army. So I can wait, do Army Innovations, and then do the research, and it will drop from 300 days to 150. And then I can get 2, because it's times 2, so I can research that one and that one in the time that it would take to research just the one. So, and then Army Innovations 2 gives you 2 more land doctrine research bonuses as well. So it lets you, and this one lets you research the Panzer III, as well as 2 other Arbor research technology bonuses at 50%. So this will let you get the Panzer III a little bit ahead of time because of that research, reduce ahead of time penalty on the Panzer III, or 50% if not ahead of time. So if you want to wait and get it, because I think it's 1939. Yes. So it's in the 1939 area of the shaded. So 100%. So we're getting a large penalty because we're 3 years ahead of time. But if we had that research, it would be as if we were 1939 right now, and there'd be no ahead of time penalty. So that's nice, and that's what we may do. Before war kicks off, so we can, at least a year before, we want somewhere around the beginning of 38, we want to be doing these. So by 1939 we can have everything in place and ready to go, and as much land doctrines researched as possible, hopefully at least 3 of them. The treaty with the USSR kicks off the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. I probably won't do it. I can take on Poland by myself. And this just reduces the amount of land I get. It doesn't really do, like, it gives a non-aggression pact, so there's a penalty for one of us to break the pact. You can go down the line of allying with Russia. Your people don't like it. It disbands the Axis, creates a new Berlin-Moscow faction. I don't like it. I don't ever go that route. It just seems wrong. But down, so you have Danzig or war, right? So we get Austria, go down and get Czechoslovakia, but then we go and reassert our eastern claims, claim memo. And then we get Danzig or war. Which will demand that Poland give us Danzig, which 90% of the time they will not. So we start war with Poland, which brings in their allies, Britain and France, and starts World War III. Well, then we have the option of going around the Magia line, which gets, with 28 days, it gets conquer focuses on Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. To do that otherwise, without this, I think Luxembourg takes like 150 days to generate a justify war goal. So if you wanted to try to conquer Luxembourg, 250 days. Like, that's ridiculous. But it's because you're conquering one entire country in a single province, but it still counts as a country, so they make it prohibitive to just declare war on whoever you want. And then make it easy through national focuses. So we'll end up going Danziger War, and we'll go around the Maggio when we're ready, which takes 28 days. And then you have this option. If France doesn't declare war, which there's a chance that they don't go to the defense of Poland, then you can get a conquer focus on France through the tree as well. You have some extra flavor stuff here. This will allow you to get an annex war goal against Switzerland if you want to take on Switzerland. You reintegrate Luxembourg and Alsace-Lorraine, which were taken from Germany after World War I and given to France. You reintegrate them into the German Empire, which is nice. Because that way then, otherwise they're just territories that are sitting under occupation, getting resistance, destroying factories and all of that. Whereas if they become cored, they become German cores in German provinces, then there's no resistance, and the factories, the population, everything is better for you. So it's good to come down and get that. Don't forget about that there at the bottom. On the opposite side from around the Mangio is this operation, which allows you to attack Denmark and Norway. It only takes 28 days to accomplish. So remember when I said in my last video that I wanted to take Denmark? This is how I'll do it. It also gives a bonus to transport ship, landing craft, and advanced landing craft. So we're sitting on transport ships. So landing craft, it would give a ahead of time bonus because it's 1940. Either if we wait till 1940, it'll give a 50% reduction. If we want to do it earlier, well, we won't get there earlier. In 1940, this will have a 50% bonus to being completed faster. Alternatively, we could come down the naval line, befriend Denmark, the Netherlands, Sweden, and then they would all get a chance to join the Axis. It's a more peaceful way to bring them in rather than war. But that's not as fun. And then you have more right here, this line, this tree, integrates all Eastern Europe. Giving provinces to Hungary. Yugoslavia? No. Takes from Yugoslavia and gives it to And then, or no, maybe it just comes Germany. It's part of Austria, it becomes German from Yugoslavia. That's what it is. This one gives Hungary some territory. This one will try to get Yugoslavia as a subject to Germany if they agree to it. If not, then I think you can declare war on them. If Greece owns that territory, then you can try to parcel it up. Fate of Greece, whether they're going to become a subject or not, or war with Greece. And just go to war and annex them. National spirit, so they have the stability effect here that they've added. The more stable you are, the better it is for your production and political power gain, as well as war support. How much does your population support you going to war? And it affects some different things. So the more support there is, the more command power you'll gain, as well as your mobilization speed. If you increase national spirit, it will remove the bitter loser and replace it with triumphant will, which gains more political power. It still has the ideology, drift, defense. It's one way to get rid of bitter loser and replace it. Unifies your population. Naval rearmament, just like rather than innovations, this is rearmament, so it's building dockyards, so we'll end up researching that eventually, as well as naval effort, which is where we're going to get research bonuses for some ships and more dockyards. We're going with Plan Z, which gives some research bonuses and more dockyards. We have more dockyards we can research here. You go or Plan Z, we're going to go Plan Z. There's just not enough. Crossing the Atlantic is for building up against America, or Canada. We have this line here is all brand new, and they have added a lot. So they have a 6th research slot. If you went down the 4-year plan and got that research slot, which is what we're planning on doing, you could also come down. So you can oppose Hitler and kick him out and bring in, well, it's going to cause some chaos. Because you're going to have to secure the new state. which is going to increase your stability, add political power. It lets you go revive the emperor or reestablish democracy. So you could return to the Kaiser. Your leader becomes Wilhelm II. You rebuild the nation, lets you build things faster, factory repair. Germany will work against Bolshevism, maybe something against some factory output, dockyard output. Basically, you bring back the Kaiser and it unlocks this whole chain over here. Focus on the true enemy. Expatriate the communists. Rebuild the high seas fleet. It's just some research in dockyards. There's just a place in the sun, which is going to increase war support. Part of the modern Germany, which is going to give us dockyards. Prepare for the next blockade. So World War I, Germany was blockaded. This is preparing to fight against it. The Anglo-French colonial hegemony. All of the lands that were taken from Germany in World War I, this is going to put claims on all of them again. Mostly claims on Africa and Pacific Islands that were taken from Germany at the end of World War I. Schefflin plan once more. Going to give you annex on Belgium and Luxembourg. And so on and so forth. You can do an Italian coup. Bring back the monarchists in Italy. Assassinate Mussolini. Brings the monarchy back in Italy. Alliance with the Shade. This is going to do... Germany will be able to join the Allies. Join the Allies and then declare war on France. Interesting. It's if they become communist. Oh. And this is bypass Maggio by declaring, or going through Switzerland. Interesting. And this is going to be a whole line of anti-communism. Lets you declare war on the Soviet Union. And if Republican Spain wins, lets you declare war on Republican Spain. Interesting. This one elects, or not elects, but assigns Wilhelm III as the ruler. Get a new research slot, so you'd get a 6th research slot. Shared research and development programs should reduce or increase the speed of research. This one reduces the production cost on many equipment items. This one is a research on the atomic research line. This one brings in Eastern European states as members to strike at the source, which is the Soviet Union. But only topple government, not a... It's not like this one. That one annexes, this one topples the government. So you're going to remove communism and bring in another form of government. And it's probably democracy going down this line. Lots of new stuff here. And I'm not going to touch any of it this time. Sorry if you wanted a video of Germany becoming a full democracy and being little yeah. We're gonna go full out German aggressive. I didn't actually pick one. Just talked about it for a while. Anyway, that's gonna end this video. I hope you have enjoyed what I've discussed. Maybe learned a thing or two. And yeah, look forward to doing another one soon and actually getting this thing started, because I've just talked for like an hour and a half. See you soon.